Tell us what you think Singapore got right.
I hesitate to talk about success because we are right in the midst of a battle which is intensifying. We've tried very hard right from the beginning to take this very seriously. We watched what was happening in Wuhan in China. We prepared our people. In fact, we've been preparing for this since SARS, which was 17 years ago. And as the cases started to come in, we were able to identify them because we said, well, treatment for COVID-19 will be free and testing. And we were able also to contact trace and find the contacts of the people who had come in and isolate the contacts so that we slow down the spread within the population. And we've tried very hard also to explain to the population what it is we are facing, what we need to do, and what are the steps which we need them to cooperate with us so that our efforts can succeed, such as keeping safe distances from one another, such as watching their own personal hygiene, such as staying home if they are sick and not going to work and not socializing. And with great effort, I think it has helped to keep the number of cases down, but I'm under no illusions that we have won. We are just going in and there's a long battle ahead.
How do you respond to people who say, well, Singapore is able to do this because it has these controls, it is a paternalistic system, the government has more powers than in other places?
We have not taken extraordinary powers. I think the key thing is people must understand what we are facing and must support what we are doing and cooperate with us and have confidence in the government. And we put a lot of effort into explaining to them what is happening, speaking to them, and I've done it a few times directly on television. So people know that we are level and we tell it straight. We are transparent. If there's bad news, we tell you. If there are things which need to be done, we also tell you. And I think that you have to maintain that trust, because if people don't trust you, even if you have the right measures, it's going to be very hard to get it implemented.
Prime Minister, you follow China very carefully, and you also follow the debate in the United States. You know there are a lot of people, including our Secretary of State, who have said that the Chinese government is in some way to blame for this pandemic because they were silent about the fact it was happening. They were secretive. They covered it up. They punished the doctor who was trying to be a kind of whistleblower about it. Do you think that is a fair criticism of China?
I'm sure that there are many aspects of the Chinese response to this outbreak which they will look back upon and believe that they should have done better. But I don't think overall that one can say this would not have happened if only the Chinese had done the right thing. Because you look at the way the outbreak has continued, grown and spread in many countries, and they don't have the Chinese government, and yet they have not found it easy to keep the outbreak under control in their country. So I think that we are in a very difficult situation, and it's most constructive for us now to look ahead and decide and find the best way to move forward and deal with the problem which we now have.
You see how this has worsened US-China relation. Is there a danger here that this virus, one of the side effects of this virus would be a US-Chinese real kind of Cold War?
It's a most unfortunate situation to be in. I mean, US-China relations have been complicated even before this. But if you're going to deal with this virus, you've got to get all the countries to be working together, in particular US and China. And under the best of circumstances, it's going to be a very difficult challenge for mankind. But if the US and the Chinese are swapping insults and blaming one another for inventing the virus and letting it loose on the world, I don't think that is going to help us solve the problem sooner.
The Trump administration does not seem that interested. With the absence of US leadership, can the world organize itself without some kind of agenda setting at least?
The world has greatly benefited from American leadership in situations like this for decades. If America is in a different mode, well, we will get by, and I think other configurations will eventually work out, but it would be a loss.
You'd prefer to see American leadership on this issue?
Yes, of course. You have the resources, you have the science, you have the influence, you have the soft power, and you have the track record of dealing with these problems convincingly and successfully, and in the greater good of many countries, not just the US. And it's a pity not to put those resources to work now to deal with this very grave challenge to mankind. That would be my guess. I'm not a professional epidemiologist or infectious disease specialist, but I don't see this problem going away in a couple of months. It's taken several months to more or less bring under control in China. It's taking off in Europe now and will take many months to bring under control. It's taking off in America now, and that's not going to disappear soon. And there are other huge parts of the world where we don't quite know what's happening, but I think that it will happen. It will happen in India, it will happen in Southeast Asia, it will happen in Africa and Latin America. So by the time it goes around the world and then finally runs its course, I think that's several years unless something happens to abort that process. I think this crisis keeps my hands full. Let's just focus on that for now.